friends, how's it going? Well, welcome back. It's Thursday once again. I know. Time does fly. Really does. Let's see. Let's get a match. Oh, good. Right over there. And let's get going here, shall we? That's what I'm talking about. Just a little bullseye flake, you know. Peter Sotheby. Nothing crazy. But, you know, the less and less I actually enjoy this blend, the better it tastes. Your taste buds readjust. Okay, I think I've mentioned this in the channel before, but if you give a favorite tobacco a rest for weeks to even a month, or if you don't smoke that often, which is always a better alternative, then you will definitely get a better flavor experience with most blends. I met some guys that, you know, are perpetual or habitual pipe smokers, and they have one blend that they like, and that's all they enjoy. I'm like, how can you do that? Doesn't it lose its taste? And I'm like, tastes the same. I'm like, well, that's great. That's really great for you, because the taste just goes away. My palate is like, man, I don't taste it anymore. And then it's like, well, if I give it a rest, I come back to it, then it comes back. But yeah. But I consider myself lucky, because I don't want to be that guy. I don't want to be a chain smoker. I want to be very, what's the word? Infrequent? No. I want to be very moderate with my enjoyment of this stuff. But I know, once a week I have a video with you guys, and I have a pipe out here. Exactly. And I've been looking forward to this. I have been. And I have something to share with you guys this week that's different than tubular stuff. We're burning a very nice, restored, well, cleaned or revived, I should say, 1915-16 era, World War I period, Dietz Wizard. Now, we've seen the little Wizard, but this is the Dietz Wizard, which is a number 2 size burner, which looks exactly like an early D-Light, doesn't it? I know. Some of you might be like, what are you doing with that tool? Well, I'm tamping it down. So as with pipes, the way that you keep them lit and going for longer is you tamp them down. For those who are not pipe smokers and who are not familiar, or even the novice for that matter, as you light it, the leaf or the flake wants to bloom and open up. It wants to open up, and you have to tamp it down and keep a nice tight pack on it so it will continue to burn evenly and thoroughly. Yeah, it's how it's done. Anyways, excuse me. There you go. Anyway, so this lantern here, I purchased it, I want to say 2019. July 2019, if I remember correctly. I remember it was a warm day, and it was right here up the street here in Monrovia. And it was an old house from the 30s or 40s. Neat old house. And it was a estate sale. And the gentleman that had lived there, borderline hoarder situation, not terribly so, but definitely not the most well-kept place, and a lot of stuff. I believe he was a photographer at one point, and he also had a collection of Hawaiian, Polynesian items. He was definitely into that culture, and I don't think he was Hawaiian. I think he was a photographer who went to Hawaii a lot, a man like myself, and photographed a lot of the island, and he fell in love with the culture, and it's very enchanting. Let me tell you, you don't think so, but if you ever get the chance to go to the islands and you actually meet people there, and It's a very warm and welcoming culture. It is. The aloha culture is, it's hard not to like. It's true. It's beautiful. It's based on love. It really is. Aloha is one word that means three different things to my understanding. One is hello and goodbye and I love you. That's right. It's a beautiful language. It is. I would like to learn more of it. It's actually pretty fascinating. In the Hawaiian culture, I have a little bit in my family only because of my grandfather, who was stationed, or not stationed, he ran a station in Honolulu in 1946, 47 through early 50, 51, 52, somewhere around there. Yeah, the family lived on Oahu right after the war, and my grandfather operated Kehula in Honolulu. Yeah, so my dad's side of the family lived there for a few years, and then my father was born in 49 on Oahu. Yeah, so he was only there as a baby and doesn't really remember much of it at all. Of course, I mean, he was only a year and a half, 2 years old when they moved to Yuma, Arizona. But anyway, where was I going with this? Oh, yes, this estate sale. So I was going through all this stuff, and they had a lot of records, 78s to LPs. Now, I don't really have many LPs, and I can't really play them. My only player that I have is a 78 phonograph. So, yeah, I can play 78s, but I can't really play LPs. So, yeah. But I like 78s. That's always been my thing when it comes to antique records. I know they're only maybe a couple minutes long each side. 12-inch ones can be longer, 4 minutes, 5 minutes, maybe each side. You know, you have to be paying attention and flip them over. Now, if you're really fancy and you have a period player from the 40s that has a changer on it, so you can stack them nice and high, and it will, you know, play the song, and then the tone arm would come out, and then it would just drop the next platter, and then return and then drop. If you have one of those fancy RCA or Zenith players that have the changer on it, cool. It's technically a home style jukebox, but anyhow. Then yeah, you can play at least an hour's worth of 78s, you know, without having to flip anything over. And then when it gets done with the stack, then you just take them and turn them over and then play the opposite sides. But anyways, this house had a lot of stuff. And some of the records I remember going through were Polynesian. They were Hawaiian. They were a lot of Bell records. Now, if you don't know what Bell records are, it's, well, Bell Recording Studios were, I believe, in Honolulu. But these were records that were recorded on Hawaii. And it was all traditional, mostly traditional Hawaiian music of the era. So if you know certain, you know, artists like Sal Hoopy or Andy Iona and stuff like that. I love vintage Hawaiian music. I really, really do. It's beautiful music, at least to me. And when I was in Hawaii in 2017, I listened to that all the time. I mean, that was the soundtrack to the visit. And it was really appropriate, you know. And the thing that really kind of breaks my heart, one last tangent, I promise, is that when you go there, you really have to dig to find the aloha, because in Honolulu, Waikiki, it's very commercialized. It really is. And, you know, there's a hotel trade, and it provides a lot of income, and it boosts the economy for the Hawaiian culture. But a lot of mainlanders are just wearing sweatpants and T-shirts. And, you know, I understand that's kind of the way things are these days. And I'm not disparaging against anybody wanting to be comfortable. But the aloha culture, it's beautiful. And I wore nothing but vintage Hawaiian aloha the entire time. And I got a lot of compliments. Of course, I was married at the time, and my wife and we were very well received with the locals. And they appreciated that we were mainlanders that were dressing in aloha and honoring the culture. And that was very special. And I'll never forget that trip, because I got to visit Pearl Harbor, and that was very special. And I mean, the whole island is beautiful. North Shore, all that. I loved Hawaii, Oahu. And there's a lot of people give that island a bad rap because they just call it Las Vegas of the Pacific. I don't think that's fair. It's not. But it has a lot of things to explore. And you can find the old-fashioned aloha if you know where to look, and it's beautiful when you do find it. And yeah, if you go, embrace it, and the locals will definitely be very appreciative. That's been my experience. Anyway, this lantern, there's a direction here. Thanks for sticking with me. Anyways, this lantern was hanging outside at this estate sale, along with some rather sad-looking Colemans. Sorry, I bumped something here. There's some sad-looking Coleman lanterns and this thing. And I'm like, oh, it looks like a D light. So I brought it down, and it was missing the burner and the cone and all that. It had a glass globe, and it was an unmarked globe. I don't think I even still have that anymore. But anyways, probably put it in some other lantern I sold. But anyhow, I took it home. I got it for $5. It was pretty rough. In fact, I'll drop a picture in here, right here, to show you what it looked like before I started. So you can see that it looks like it came off the Titanic. And a lot of people probably would pass on this lantern because of the condition. It looked really, really rusty. However, as you can see plainly, after WD-40, it came out really good. Right? Yeah. It's got the dark brown finish because, I didn't go too hard on it. But I didn't have to. I did not even have to seal the fount. This fount was, liquid tight. It held kerosene just fine. Yeah. And that was great. But I got this thing tuned in where I liked it and loved the finish on it. And it burns fantastic. But here's the problem. So it wasn't all that easy because I had ordered a burner and cone, and I just assumed there was a traditional burner and cone for a D light. Right? Simple mistake. Because I got those parts and I put them in there, and the globe plate wasn't sitting low enough. It stopped. So I put it up on the group, and I says, hey guys, what's going on with this lantern? Why is the globe plate not fitting the cone that's for this thing? They're like, well, is it a wizard? I'm like, yeah, okay, it's not a D-light. Same frame. Eventually, D-light became this frame. They used this frame for the D-light after they stopped manufacturing the top lift D-light, which I do have one. So this frame did become the D-light eventually by 1918, 1920, somewhere around there. But the wizard, during World War I, used a two-piece cone, or what they call a rising cone. So rising cone means that the cone itself is pressed. Sorry, so noisy. Let me turn this down a little bit so I can raise it up. So you see the cone, and you see how it rises with the globe plate, and see that collar around the bottom? So the cone is a two-piece, and then the burner is a one-piece, so when it lands together, it becomes one piece. And Dietz, in their infinite wisdom, felt that was a metal and cost-saving measure to practice during World War I don't know if it was. Maybe it was. I guess making a burner and then having a full metal jacket, full metal piece over the burner with a cone might have consumed a little bit more. I don't know. I can't say for sure. I wasn't at the factory. I wasn't on the design team to see if that actually did eliminate some metal that was being used. I would imagine it did. That's why they did it. But the rising cone, I didn't know about. In fact, my little wizard, my early little wizard from 1913, give or take, has a rising cone as well. And I had that red one. You remember the red one? Remember that early red one I had on the group? I sold it. And because I couldn't find a rising cone to press back into that globe plate, that's why I sold it, and somebody figured it out, and I think one of you guys own it now. But anyway. You guys figured it out. And you're enjoying it, I think, right? I forget who bought that, but anyway. If you're watching, please leave a comment. Anyway. Rising cone. It was John Morris who actually came to my rescue on that, and he said he had a rising cone out of an early wizard, number 2 wizard. And so he found it and sent it to me, and he taught me how he instructed me from where he lives in Georgia, how to install it. And that was tricky, but I got it done. And then Willis Miller III supplied the burner for the rising cone. He had practically a new old stock burner, and he sent it to me. Just because he's a cool guy, he helped me out. So I got this thing up and running, and it burns great. So as you saw in the picture, since it was missing the rising cone in the burner, it was electrified to a degree. Very, very very poor electrification job. You had an old porcelain eagle socket from the 20s, and his wires easy to remove, and then a big clunky CFL bulb. Yeah. Now, the thing is, I'm not crazy about fluorescent lighting in general, but those compact fluorescents, people like them because they make a lot of light. However, many of you know my opinion about bright, cool temperature lighting. Now, most fluorescents have a daylight or blue tint. Okay? And I feel that is the light that has made our world less enjoyable. Because it is a life-sucking, horrible, intrusive light that just makes everything feel sterile. I mean, if you're at Walmart, okay, fine. But if you have something that's a warmer temperature that gives off more of a warm type of light, I think you're going to be better off. Cold temperature CFLs or fluorescent or even LED can, I don't know. They do give off UV. So if you have those in your home, it's putting off UV rays. So it's going to fade your upholstery on your sofa, your chairs, and your carpet. And it's also going to make photos or artwork on your walls fade. UV is not what you want in your house. I'll just say that. But these cold temperature lighting, it just blows me away. You have an old lantern, and I guess most people think it was like, it was just designed to make light, so let me electrify it and make it up to date. And then you put a CFL bulb in because it saves energy, right? It's energy efficient. So you put one of those in there, it's bright. So it's an old lantern, but it's bright. It makes all this light. Well, okay. You could put an incandescent bulb in it, it will make you light, but it also kind of give off the light that you want from a lantern anyways. I mean, for me, I fell in love with these because of the warmth and the heat that they generate. It's comforting. This little flame is comforting for me, and that's where I find my pleasure and enjoyment in these old lanterns, is because of the warmth from a flame. But to see a CFL bulb and a tubular lantern, it makes me want to it makes me crave it makes me angry. I'll just say that it just hurts my soul. It does. It's I know it's not intentional, but it's just a big question mark. Like, what are you doing? I know people need some light. I know when you need some light and you need to have bright light, you need to see things. I get that part, but you can have bright light without that blue tint. That blue tint is really, it just, man, I guess if you're in in a workshop and you need that blue tinted light, I guess it has a place, but man, in your home though, yeah, I couldn't sit on the back porch and enjoy one of these by the light of one of those obnoxious things. Goodness no, heavens no. Yeah, it's just it just okay. The other thing is, last I'll say about this, I promise. Blue temperature lighting, like the screens on your phones or your television, emits a temperature light that will kill melatonin. So if you want to sleep at night, reason why a lot of Americans don't sleep very well is because their melatonin is shot. Their melatonin is shot because of staring at a screen, TV, or phones, or computers, and it kills your melatonin. So it's best at night you don't do that, but especially lighting your house with blue temperature. Blue light kills melatonin. There's been studies, and this is a fact. You can check it if you want. But yeah, so get rid of that stuff. Get rid of that stuff. You can buy fluorescent or LEDs with a warm temperature. You just have to pay attention to the box, and it will tell you what temperature the light is. That's right. So go for warm temperature, and you'll see a transformation in your home. It'll be cozier. It'll be more comfortable, and you'll feel better, and you'll actually sleep better. So, all right, that's the last I'll say about it. Anyways, we're going to actually share. This was just an introduction, friends. You think it's over? No. I know we're already at 20 minutes, but we're going to do something that I wanted to share. Now, you all know the Dodge, and you've seen pictures of the 40 Dodge, and you've probably noticed the tires. Okay? Now, the tires I currently have on the car, I've had on the car since 2021, and they are all-weather. No, excuse me. They are Goodyear Deluxe all-weather tires, diamond tread, right? They have the ribbed wall and all that. And I will be frank, I've had several shoes on this car before, but none have been as good as these tires. Now, I'm not paid or sponsored or endorsed by Goodyear, but this is a owner's testimony to these tires. They are the superior bias ply tire. Now, sadly, they are only really specific to cars prior to World War II. So they were used on cars through the mid-30s up into the 1940s. 40, 41, that's the date range that the ribbed walled all-weather Deluxe or Deluxe all-weather tires Goodyear made. That's the span of time that they actually made the specific tire. Now, my car is a 40, and the factory tire for this car is the ribbed black wall tire. Now, they make them in white wall, but they're more expensive. They're $350 a throw, while you can get the black walls for $270. Yeah. Through Kelsey's. Anyways, they're fantastic. They're high quality. They're the quality that they were made in the 40s or 30s. They're 4-ply, and they're exquisitely made. They're beautiful tires. I've not had an issue with them at all since 2021. Now, granted, I don't drive the car daily. It's not my commuter. And I'm thankful because those tires are expensive. Yes, cost me $1,000 to put those tires on the car. They're not cheap. But they've been holding up great, and I love them, and they look good, and there's still plenty of tread since I drive the car mostly on weekends and not often too far. However, I wanted an ashtray. I wanted one of those Goodyear ashtrays, that looked like the tires on my car. Well, as you know, I have a Goodyear tire ashtray out here in the garage. You've seen me, tap my ashes in it a lot. However, just for funsies, I was on eBay, and I found the one I was looking for. Look at that, friends. Look at that. That is the one. That is the ribbed sidewall all-weather Deluxe. Or Deluxe all-weather. I keep wanting to say Deluxe at the end. It's Deluxe all-weather. But see, it is Goodyear. This is the same tire that's on the Dodge. That's right. It's the same on the opposite side. But yeah, this is diamond tread. You're like, wow, that's really narrow. Are you sure that's the right tire? Well, it's an ashtray. But, it's funny because when they made these ashtrays, they did mathematically scale down the actual dimensions of the production tire. So this, in fact, is a miniature of what I have, an exact miniature of what I have on the car. But even then, when you look at the car's profile, if you look at the car from head-on or from the rear and you see the profile, the footprint of the tire, it's narrow. This is something a lot of people have a hard time understanding sometimes, especially in the classic car world. They're like, those are too narrow. No. We think that they're too narrow because we're used to, our modern minds are so used to radials that are wider. Okay? It's true. Radials are wider. They offer good performance and stability and better road contact, more grip. Now, with a car from the 40s or even the early 50s, bi-ply were narrow because, are you ready for it? No power steering. That's right. So that's why the wheels on these cars were larger, better leverage. Bigger steering wheel meant better leverage. No power steering. You were the power steering. Whatever you got up here, that's your power steering. So narrow tires meant less footprint, less contact with the cement or the concrete or road, dirt, whatever. That meant easier steering. Now, well, wasn't that dangerous? Wouldn't you want more contact with the road? Well, yeah, but cars weren't going today's speeds. My 1940 Dodge, I'm tacking pretty high just to get it to 60. 60 miles an hour is like a million. It's light speed for this antique car. It is. Yeah. Now, could I split the manifold, put dual exhaust and 2 carburetors on the motor? Sure. And I could get a lot more out of that flathead 6 and it would do just fine. But you're going to be overdriving your tires. You're going to be overdriving your brakes. You're going to be making a car that's designed and engineered for 45 to 50 miles an hour faster. You have no seat belts. You have no airbags. And you have no padded dashboards. And you have, your glass is shatterproof. It will crack, but it won't shatter. You know what I'm saying? Anyways, there's no safety features in this car. So, sure, you could go faster and keep up with the flow of traffic, but would you really feel comfortable sitting on a bench seat with no seat belts or airbags or anything going 80 miles an hour? I wouldn't. Gosh, no. No, I'm brave enough to drive this car without safety belts in general. Now, people have put safety belts in these cars, but here's the rebuttal. Since they weren't designed with safety belts in mind, the seats come up. The bottom seat that you sit on, that your butt is planted on these cars, they can lift right out. They're not anchored to the floor. The frame of the seat is, but the actual bench seat comes right out. Yeah, it just comes right out. So in the event of an accident or a collision of sorts, your seat's going to come out from underneath, and you're going to be strapped to the top of the battery tray. So, yeah, there's ways to make these cars, I would imagine, safer, but then it's no longer an antique car. And, you know, with the amount that I drive this car, I drive it carefully, but I do drive it defensively. And, you know, I go the speed limit on surface streets, sometimes a little more. But it's always, you know, I plan ahead. I always look ahead, and I make my plans of how and when and where I'm going to be stopping this thing. And thankfully, even though she still has drum brakes, she brakes on a dime. She has great brakes. I've serviced them, and they have good pressure, and she brakes very well. It's a great car. It's just a really great car. I love it. I love my antique car, and it's really great to have this piece of Goodyear history. Yeah. For those cigar nights in the garage here. But you know, it's nice to have one that actually matches. It is. But here's something fun that I made. Now, most of the ashtrays out there that Goodyear made, as well as Firestone and BF Goodrich, there's a lot. Every major tire company made an ashtray. I mean, a lot of people smoked back in those days, and it was a fun advertising gimmick that you could get at the World's Fair or at a tire store, and all the guys at the tire shop were, had these on the counter while you're ordering your parts or whatever. But a lot of them would have an advertisement. This one's clear. This one has nothing in it. As I was saying, there was an advertisement on the inside, glued to the. There's a little bit of a residue that might have had one at one time. It might have had some residue or some remnants, and they cleaned it. But never fear, I'm a graphic designer, and I thought I would make one for the Ashtray, so I did. Isn't that great? Look at it. Smokey's Garage. If it smokes, bring it here. Now, EL85682. You know what that is? Of course, I used the old exchange. Yes, EL was for Elliott. That's right. So that was a local area here in Monrovia. I think we had a couple exchanges at one time. But anyways, Elliott was definitely one of the primary exchanges. And my childhood phone number was 358-5682. No longer a relevant number. That's why I can share it here. But it's interesting because 35 was EL. So if you're on your telephone and you dialed 35, that was dialing the exchange. So 35 was EL. So if you wanted to place a call to Elliott's exchange, then you would dial 35 and then 85682. Then yeah, that's how it was done back in those days. So of course I used my old childhood phone number on here. But yeah, if it smokes, bring it here. Smokey's Garage. Well, we do have our cigar nights, and I thought that was appropriate. So I'm going to take some, some Elmer's rubber cement and go right in there. Does that look good? Does that look nice? I think so. That will look good. It fits pretty well, I think, right? I think so. Anyways, so I thought I'd share that with you guys. Our little tire ashtray that matches the tires on the car. And of course, I'll slip in a picture of the tires. You can see exactly what I'm talking about. But yeah, I love these Art Deco ribbed wall tires from Goodyear. They are fantastic. And if you have a pre-World War II Mopar especially, definitely invest in a set of those. I know Chrysler products did come factory with Goodyear tires. I think Firestone were Chevrolet and Fords. I could be wrong, but I mean, you could put on any car as long as it's the same size. I think they're available in 16.600s, 16.6.00. That is, and up to 6.50. The size ranges are limited. They only make these in a specific size, not too many. So yeah, it's what it is. But anyway, hope you enjoyed this video, guys. I had fun making it, as I always do. And just for kicks, if you like this lantern, I like it. So many things, too. Not enough room. But if you like it, I might let it go. Yeah. I just may let it go. I've had it for a while. I've enjoyed it. But maybe it's time to leave the Time Cave to a new destination, maybe to your collection, and you can enjoy a piece from out here in your environment when you watch when you watch a new video. Anyways, let me know in the comments and we can work something out, I think, if you like what you see. Okay, guys, take it easy, and we will see you in a week's time. Bye-bye. Sit, boo-boo, sit. Good dog.